Hello, everybody. I hope that you guys have gotten your week off to a great start. Those of you who start your week on Monday, I start mine on Sunday, prepping for the week to come, examining the previous week and breaking it down. So I'm into my week already, but I hope that you've gotten off to a good start. I want to come to you today and I want to talk to you about something that's so immensely important that we lose sight of it so often, and it works against us in so many different ways. Before I get to that, I want to remind you, if you haven't gotten your copy of Critical Mass, let me hold it right. Oh, this camera always throws me off. Critical Mass, the phenomenon of next level living. The link is in the uh, description box, depending on where you're looking at. Wherever the post is posted and the description is posted, it'll be there. It's in different places on different settings. I want to talk to you about something that I have learned academically, experientially, observationally, over the course of my life. It has definitely shaped the way that I deal with life, the way I confront life, the way I approach life, and it has impacted my failures and been the catalyst behind my successes. And I will tell anybody, if you want to see unbelievable results in your life, this is the place you start. And it is in the development of a transcendent, transcendent and powerful mindset that is built on proper thinking. If your thinking is out of whack, I don't care what you do. I don't care what you do. People ask me about the high divorce rate. People ask me about poverty. People ask me about business. People ask me about all these different things that people go through in life, and you do. And you got a bunch of people that keep changing things, except the one thing they need to change is their mind. I posted earlier, you can change your spouse, you can change your house, you can change your car, you can change your job, you can change your clothes, you can keep changing things, but if you never change your thinking, it's all for nothing. You're never going to get that sense of fulfillment. You're never going to find that peace. You're never going to find all of the things that create this homeostasis in your life that provides this feeling that you keep searching for and can't have. You know, I've been the person who tried to fill it with money. I've been the person who tried to fill it with women. I've been the person who went and did all these things because I could see a way to go after those things. You know, I can go do this and I can get money. I can go do this and I'll have women that'll come to me. I can go do this and people will start to like me. But what good is it having people like you if you don't like yourself? What good does that matter? Where do you start? You start with attacking a problem by changing your thinking and the way you view it. It's always a thinking problem. I want to get that right out in the beginning. It's a thinking problem, but I want to break down to you some of the things that happen. In other words, your thinking is basically a combination of a paradigm, which is the set of beliefs that create the lens through which you view life. Some people have a lens that they view life that, and you've heard me say this before, that, and I'm breaking it down to be real basic because I want to keep this as short as possible. But you have one group of people, and we're just going to do two groups right now. One group of people, their lens through life is that life is happening to them. And what does that create? That creates a victim mentality. Why? Because in the belief that life is happening to them, there's no sovereignty, there's no personal engagement, no personal influence. Life is simply happening to you, and then you sit up and you're left with dealing with whatever life throws you. The other group believes that life is responding to them, that they're literally creating their reality out of some form of pattern and behavior. Even if they don't know what it is, they know that they have some sovereignty and control in their lives. And so they believe that life is responding, and they simply have to find the right frequency, the right thought, the right idea, the right pattern, and life will change in their favor. So they're not sitting back waiting on some arbitrary movement or some external force to fix their problem. They see the problem, they engage the problem. They're never satisfied with settling. They know they have the power. Now, how you perform and how you act and behave in life, just on those two thinking processes or two paradigms, has a massive impact on where you're going to end up in life. Being a victim, looking through life through the lens or the paradigm that life is happening to you. creates this capricious behavior where you're isolating or vacillating and constantly moving to and fro and up and down and around and changing and shifting. And you do this. And I read one of my brothers posted earlier this morning, if you're tired of starting over, stop giving up, stop quitting. But see, quitting and giving up is a part of the capricious nature of a person who believes life is happening to them. See, when I believe life is happening to me, it gets tough. I say, okay, I'm going to go find somewhere where it's easy. I'm never going to sit up and say, okay, it's tough, but it's not tougher than my resolve. I'm more relentless than the problem is. I'm more focused and fixed than the problem. I have within my mindset the ability to create solutions that don't even exist. So even if I can't get the answer from somebody else, I have the capacity and God consciousness on the inside of me to create a solution that hasn't even been created yet. That's how solutions start. Somebody had to think of it. But when my mind is telling me that I can't do anything about it, I'm not even looking for a solution. I'm fixated on the problem. And as I become more and more fixated, it becomes more and more expansive, more and more powerful, more and more overwhelming until it breaks me down. All of it beginning in my thoughts. So let me ask you a question. Let's move on to something. I want to ask you a question. I want you and I want you to really be honest with yourself. If you knew within your heart of hearts that something you really wanted to do that's beyond average, that's beyond the mediocre, something that is extraordinary, phenomenal, and it's been inside of you for so long, and you've been sitting there on it because of fear, because of apprehension, because of anxiety, because of uncertainty, and you're sitting there. What if that thing that you desire to do, what if you knew in your heart of hearts that you couldn't fail? What if you knew that no matter what opposition you faced in the process of pursuing it, that you were built to overcome it? Some of y'all have heard me say this before. When I got down to my lowest of low, when I hit rock bottom, people were asking me, how are you doing? How are you doing? I'm built for it. There were times I woke up and the only mindset I could find that would stabilize me is I'm built for this. I didn't have the answer. I didn't have the connections. I didn't have the support. I didn't have everything that I needed all at one time to come out of it, but I knew I was built for it. In other words, this will not destroy me. It's a moment in time, some way, somehow, someday I'm coming out of it, and that's where I'm going to live. That's where my focus is going to be, not on what's hurting me, but what I can do to come out of it. And that's how I came out of it. It's the thinking. Some of you are beat before you ever get started because you already believe you're going to fail. And I've told you over and over again, God, the universe, life, however you want to look at it, will meet you at your expectations and never higher. If you expect a problem, you're going to get a problem. If you think you're going to fail, you're going to fail. If you think you can't come out of it, you can't come out of it. But the flip side works too. I can overcome it. You will overcome it. I will survive. You will survive. I will win. You will win. But it calls for you to stay in the game. You keep starting over because you keep quitting. Stop allowing your mind to listen to the negative external information that's coming at you, that's talking you down. See, you can't play big. You can't go big if you're expecting little. See, it's not about what you see in front of you. So many people think if I change this current reality that's here now, I'm good. No, see, we can see that not work real well when we see all the people who go into the NFL, get these $1 million salaries for 3 and 4 and 5 years on average, and then come out and within 3 years on average are broke. We see it when people win the lottery and get millions of dollars and were poor before that it only lasts a certain amount of time. Why? Because it's not in the money you earn, it's in the mindset that's connected to the idea of poverty and impoverished thinking. So let's look at it. And I want you to understand something. See, when you have a reality, your reality is manifested first in your thinking. I tell people all the time, your thoughts are the seeds of your destiny. The thoughts are the seeds of your future. I even wrote a book called Your Mind is the Genesis of Your Destiny. In other words, you're creating your reality. In other words, you can say this and it may sound somewhat mystical, but this is the reality of it in a very simplified form. You have a thought. You emit that thought. You may eject that thought through simply thinking it. You may eject that thought through your speech, but some kind of way that thought is released into the universe. And then the universe brings that thought back to you in the way of an experience. And so what you are thinking constantly and focusing on mentally is creating your reality. It is a mindset that controls and creates. I can change your reality. I can give you whatever amount of money you think you want. But if your mind has not disconnected from an impoverished mindset, an impoverished mindset says there's always more month than money. An impoverished mindset always says something's about to get turned off. An impoverished mindset always says we're about to lose something. An impoverished mindset always says there's lack. By the one thing I learned long before I ever read Think and Grow Rich, that was a book that preceded it by 30 years, written by a man by the name of Wallace D. Wattles, written in 1906, something like that. And the name of the book was The Science of Getting Rich. Same mindset, same purpose, a little shorter than Think and Grow Rich, but the same purpose. All of it's, in that thing that everybody calls the secret or the law of attraction, but it's talking about the powerful force or the physicality of your thoughts. See, most people don't even imagine that their thoughts have physicality. Everything in you is emitting energy. Every cell in your body emits energy. That's why your body responds to electricity. That's how electricity can stop or start your heart. You are a conductor of electricity. That's why you can touch an electrical charge and touch someone else and they can feel it, because you have the ability to conduct electricity. Energy moves through you. You are the creator of energy. Every time you have a new thought, you have a new source of energy. The problem is most of you are thinking negative thoughts, creating negative energy, creating negative frequency, creating negative vibrations, bringing you negative consequences. And if you don't learn how to control your mind, you send it out, it comes back. So I can give you whatever you want, but if you don't change the thing, if you don't disconnect from the poverty mindset, I can give you whatever you want. In enough time, you're going to find yourself back there. And what you got to understand, the reality of you moving out of poverty into abundance has nothing to do with what you have. It's what you become. See, I'm going to give you a real simple thing, and then we're going to move into something slightly more complex. Here's the simplicity of it. If you're tired of what you're making, change who you are. What do you mean? If you want to make more money, increase your value. Increase the value you bring to the marketplace. That's the simple equation. If I want to make more money, I have to increase my value. And when I increase my value, maybe I become more knowledgeable in this area. Maybe I become more of an expert in this area. Maybe I become unique in the way I deliver a service, so that very few people like me there are very few people like me who can deliver what I deliver. The more unique I become in what I deliver, and the more I'm able to solve a specific problem, the more I'm able to write a check for whatever I desire. I can write the check that people are going to pay me based on what type of value I bring to the market. 20 years ago, you couldn't told me, even though I was operating in a realm where I was starting to experience all kind of abundance, you couldn't have told me that I would be at a point in my life after hitting rock bottom and falling off of my pedestal, so to speak, and hitting rock bottom, that I would sit up and be able to tell people this is what I charge and stand on it firmly and confidently, because I knew what I delivered. And it'd be the numbers that I sit up and I put in front. But that is something that I had to develop over time, is understanding that when you bring a value to the place, don't be ashamed to charge in direct correspondence of the value. But you got to believe in yourself. You got to learn. You got to read. There's absolutely nothing that, whatever your gift is, find it. Whatever your gift is, because your gift is indicative of your purpose. Your gift is indicative of your of the design that you have, and what you're meant to do, and how you're meant to serve the world, bless the world, impact the world. So when you find your gifting, some people are charismatic, some people are well-spoken, some people are great at poetry, some people can write, some people can create things with their hand, some people are good with the stroke of a brush, and it's all these other, some people are good vocally, some people are conceptualists. that they can conceptualize anything that you take yourself. And I tell people all the time, that's one of my gifts. You can give me your idea for your idea for your business, and within the first conversation of discussing what you want to do with your business, I will put that idea on steroids and give it back to you, and it will be magnified. That's what I do. And so whatever your gift is, refine it, work on it, nourish it. What most people will tell you to do is find your strengths and then work on your weaknesses. I don't operate that way. I think you need to shore up your weaknesses, but I think you need to spend a lot of time in your gift, because that's what separates you from everybody else. That's where you find. Now, where it comes to weaknesses, what I found I've thrived in is in the place where I find people who are strong and where I'm weak, and we partner. This is a group thing. This is where you pour into somebody and you bring somebody along, and they pour into you and they bring you along, and together you build something. That's called synergy, where you sync energy together to create something more powerful than you could do on your own. But I read once that it is not the earning of money, and I'm paraphrasing it because I've said it so many times I don't forgot the original quote. It is not the earning of money that breaks the spirit of poverty. It is the breaking of the mental connection to the idea of poverty that frees you. The abundance is there, and this is what I teach people who I work with. Your poverty, your connection to poverty isn't broken the moment that you make your first, whatever it is, this number you have in your head. Your connection to poverty is broken the moment that you realize you are not tied to it, and that you can do anything in this world that you want to do. That's the moment of your breakthrough. Your breakthrough is not in when you're experiencing what you believe is possible. Your breakthrough is at the moment you begin to believe it. Because that's the moment things change. When you change your thinking, your reality has nothing to do but to follow suit. Now, this doesn't mean that everything that you want to change is going to change overnight. But what it means, if you really truly work on conditioning your mind to believe that what it is you desire to have, you can have, and you believe it and you begin to move toward it, everything changes, first in your thinking, then in the way you feel. The anxiety leaves, the stress leaves, the worry leaves, the fear leaves, the confidence rises, the expectations rises. And remember, God meets you at the level of your expectations. Life meets you at the level of your expectations. The universe meets you at the level of your expectations. You cannot consistently live in this world beyond what you believe will happen. If you believe it will happen, it will happen. The most powerful change you will ever have, and I sort of touched on this in the beginning, the most powerful change you will ever make is changing your mind. I said this in the beginning: you can change your spouse, you can change your house, you can change your car, you can change jobs, you can change all these different things, but until you change your mind, it will have no true impact. That's why we have so many divorces. That's why we have such high turnover rates in jobs. People are looking for fulfillment in things and in relationships, and they don't know themselves. They don't have a sense of personal identity. Their self-image is marred. Their self-image is fractured. They don't truly have enough confidence in self. So they're trying to find things in other people, other things, in other situations. They're more concerned about what other people think of them than about what they think of themselves. They're chasing popularity. They're chasing fame. They're chasing the dollar. All of those things will take care of themselves when you fulfill your purpose and you change your thinking. And the idea is not about what you accumulate, but what you become. People ask me, when you hit rock bottom, man, you were over there doing all that, and then all of a sudden the bottom fell out. Man, yeah, the bottom fell out. Let me tell you something. The bottom fell out, right? You know, I'm in this place where I'm riding high, and I think I got life by the horns, and I'm doing whatever I want to do, basically. And then the bottom falls out. And then not only does the bottom fall out, there are a lot of people sitting on the sideline cheering as it happens. And for whatever reason, they're cheering. You know, and my thing is, I didn't get caught up in that. This is what I did. Instead of focusing on what people thought about me being at the bottom, Instead of getting caught up in how people were laughing and people were cheering and people were feeling, relieved and literally celebrating my demise, I got caught up in something. They said, well, how did you, what held you when you lost it all? Well, the one thing I can say that I got, and I tell people all the time, I wasn't where I really needed to be when I was doing all that. It was about me. I'll be honest. It was about what Rick can do and how good Rick doing his thing and everything. As I tell people all the time, the first half of my life was about me, but the second half is about my legacy. It's about leaving something so powerful that people are still being impacted by it long after I'm gone. And that's what my life is about now. But people say, but the one thing I can tell you that I got out of all of that in the beginning, even though I hadn't matured into being the person I needed to be to really truly use the resources I had, the one thing I got out of it, I knew who I was. The things were, and I had already determined in my mind that all these things, all the people, the things, the houses, the cars, all that stuff was a reflection of who I was. It came because I was capable. Now, I wasn't using my capacity in the best interest of what my purpose was, but I understood the things didn't make me, I made the things. So when I lost the things, I didn't lose myself. Not one drop of my confidence, not one feeling about who I was diminished because my things were gone. And that's going to be the difference between those people who are able to make it through this life and go through the storm, go through the struggle, go through the heartache, go through the disappointment, go through the delay, who will be able to go through it, and those who will fold, fall, and crumble underneath the pressure of it. What is it? If you don't know who you are and you're defined by someone else's opinion of you, defined by what you own, what you drive, where you live, what you wear, you're going to meet a time when that's going to be challenged. It's going to be pulled or it's going to be threatened by the very least. And if you don't know who you are, it will destroy you. But you can sit up and know who you are, and it can all leave, and you are still who you are, because inside of you is the divine will of the Almighty, and inside of you is the unbelievable, unlimited power to create something new, something better, something stronger, something more lasting, and nobody in this world can take it away from you, because the very simplest form of the definition of destiny is the more you try to stop it, the more you ensure it happens. So when I sit up and I hit that point, I'm like, hey, I got what it takes. I'm built for this. That never changes. I've had ebbs and flows in the process of trying to get back to where I was. I've had ebbs and flows. I've had people talk about me. I had situations where things didn't move as fast as I wanted to do. I had situations where I got knocked back 3 or 4 steps. But inside of me is this thing saying you're built for it. I'm not shaken by any delay. I'm not shaken by people talking behind my back. I'm not shaken by oppositional forces moving against me. I'm not shaken by anything that I face, because I'm built for this. I know who I am. So when I am when I'm thinking about anything, it's about, I'm built for this. I have unlimited potential to accomplish everything that I set my mind to. And I'm relentless in pursuing it. And if I start it, I finish it. You've got to have a mindset that dares to break through difficult moments. You've got to have a mindset that challenges you to rise to the demand of the occasion. You've got to have something in you that releases that potential on the inside of you and demands it to bring back that which you desire. Life will pay whatever price you demand of it. The problem is most people aren't willing to put in the work. Most people aren't willing to make the sacrifices. Most people aren't willing to go the distance. The most powerful change you will ever make in this life is to change your mind, change your thinking, change your mindset, change the perspective through which you see life. Everything else comes. There's no such thing as lack. That is one of the biggest lies told in this world. God designed this universe to produce an abundance, everything that you desire and demand and need from it. Absolutely nothing will be withheld from you when you believe that it is possible. See, there were these brothers that believed that they can make a machine that can fly, and everybody in the world told them they were crazy. But yet we travel on these machines that fly now because they didn't listen. There's a man named Roger Bannister who was told there's no way you can run the mile in under 4 minutes. And now you have high school kids running the mile because he believed it was possible. And I can go on and on. Somebody told Graham Bell that there's no way you're going to make a machine that people can talk to somebody else across town on this thing you pick up. And then later on down the line in the early 70s, they start developing technology. So we are not even going to need the wiring anymore. We're going to use waves that move across the air. And we're going to talk on these things called cell phones. And then we're going to invent something called satellite phones. We're even further reach. And people are, you're crazy. But here we are sitting up operating on little miniature computers we pack around in our pockets and our purses because somebody believes, and that's not even tapping the surface. Stop living inside of this little box that somebody else created for you and told you you belonged in because you couldn't do this well, because you come from this background, because you didn't have a two-parent household, because you have a learning disability. What I am telling you is that if you are living and breathing on this earth, there's an inherent genius on the inside of you, an inherent gift or talent on the inside of you that God planted there. And I don't care how you view God. That's not my business to tell you that. However you view God, there is something that demands that you would, there's something about the intricacy and complexity of your design that says that you had to be designed. Now, we're not getting into the discussion of whether evolution is real. We know evolution has a part of the process, but what I'm telling you is the intricacies of your eye alone demand a design. It could not have developed in the intricate nature that it did to produce what it does without it, because the very nature of evolution says it has to know what it's doing next. So there had to be a designer that set all of that in motion. And if the designer set it in motion, then the designer had a purpose for it. And if the designer had a purpose, the purpose is never eliminated. Even when you don't live in your purpose, even when you make poor decisions, poor mistakes, bad choices and all that stuff, the design still holds the purpose. That's what I love about it. You know, I shared the other day, we talk about Warren Buffett and his over $80 billion net worth. But what we don't realize is that 99% of that 80 billion plus was earned after his 50th birthday, showing it's never too late. That if you're breathing, you're here for a reason, that there's something on the inside of you that's yearning for you to stand up and take control of your life and be an impact in a world that needs people to touch it, to change it, to lift it, elevate it, to empower it. And that's something that every last one of you have a chance and an opportunity to do. There's something on the inside of you that has been lying dormant because people have told you that you weren't capable, that you weren't able, that you didn't possess it. I'm here to tell you that if you're breathing, God has you here for a reason, and that if you accept the challenge, if you accept the challenge, if you decide, I'm going to do something with my life, I'm not going to be a victim, I'm not going to be, I'm not going to acquiesce to the pushes and the pressures of life. I'm going to stand up strong. I'm going to square my shoulders. I'm going to access the gift. I'm going to refine the gift. I'm going to become a solution. And the moment you become a solution, you ain't got to worry about lacking. You don't have to worry about lack anymore because everything you need will be coming to you in abundance. You are, you know, some people talk about getting abundance or achieving abundance. You are abundance. Your existence is a reflection of abundance because in your mind is the capacity to create anything that you desire. That sounds like abundance to me. Stop funneling negativity through this device or this machine or this mechanism or this organism. Stop funneling negativity through something that can create anything that you desire because you're creating a problem instead of a solution. Focus on the solution. Fill your mind with positive ideas, positive thoughts. Challenge yourself to go big. Stop shrinking into colorless dreams and minuscule goals, and just so that you know nobody's going to ridicule you, or that you're going to know that if I just do this, I know I can do this. I don't have to worry about experiencing failure. Failure, what I call micro failures, are a part of success. That's a learning experience. You get up, Dust yourself off, hold your head up high, square your shoulders, stick your chest out, and say, I'm built for this. And then you keep walking. So many of you are sitting on these unbelievable gifts that have limitless value, that will put you wherever you want to be in life. And you're just sitting on it. You're just sitting on it. And what makes it easy for you to do is you're around a bunch of other people that are just sitting on their gifts, sitting on their talents, sitting on their purpose. And y'all have all given each other an excuse not to go after what you were designed and created to do. But at the end of the day, you've got to live with it. At the end of the day, you've got to deal with that internal feeling that you can't shake, that something better is out there, that feeling of a lack of fulfillment that you just can't get rid of. Why? Because you're not functioning in your purpose. The only thing that can fill that void that you've been fighting and trying to fill with money, fill with women, fill with men, fill with whatever, the only thing that can fill it is you living in your purpose. The only thing to fill it is you living in your purpose. With that being said, look, I'm gonna get off of here. Like I said, if you haven't gotten the book, the link is there. If you want to get the Power of Paradigms course and go through that program and course with my support, that's there. If you want to contact us about one-on-one sessions, that you can get there. If you just want to go visit the site and check out some of the resources and the blog and stuff like that, that's there. But whatever you do, you've got to start improving yourself. There's a study that's been done, well, actually, there are multiple studies now, that says that the average American only reads one book. But the top 5 performers in the US in the way of career and finance and success rates in business read 3 to 4 books minimum per month. For the last 10 years, I have dedicated to reading 100 books a year. Now, that actually takes a commitment and it takes the ability to speed read, but it's possible. I'm not telling you to read that. I'm telling you to read somewhere along the lines of 40 books a year, 40 to 45 books a year. And I know Zane has got a lot of y'all turned up. I ain't talking about Zane. I'm talking about books that are focused on something you're passionate about. Books that will show you how to get the most out of a certain situation. Books that will help you change your thinking. Books that will help you become more focused and feel. Books that will help you understand the environment around you. I'm talking about books that are designed to make you better. Invest in yourself. How are you ever expecting somebody to invest in you if you haven't invested in yourself? You got to be willing to say, you know what, I'm going to do this. Whatever it is, I'm going to better myself, because the more you better yourself, the more value you bring to the table, the more you have a right to demand more of the world around you. Your experience of lack isn't because of the realization of lack, it's because you haven't invested in yourself enough to demand of the abundance that's around you. With that being said, look, I'm going to get off of here. There's so much more to do, but I'm telling you, you've got to break the poor thinking. You've got to break the connection to your idea of what is as it pertains to being impoverished, poor relationships, poor parenting, poor decision making. All of that is a mindset, and you have absolute control over it. But though, one thing, I'm gonna give you something. I've shared this before, but I'm gonna share it again. For Christian believers, I know that everybody that listens and follows me and I work with, not Christian, for Christian believers, I'm gonna give you something that you've quoted a million times, and it applies exactly to what we're talking about here. And I'm gonna show you how powerful it is and why it works. 3 minutes tops. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, beginning at verse 3, says that though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are carnal, are not carnal, but mighty in God for the pulling down of strongholds. It says, casting down arguments, thoughts, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, thoughts, bringing every thought into captivity controlling your thinking and to the obedience of Christ, bringing every thought into captivity. You have a responsibility to control your thinking. You have a responsibility to understand what benefits your thought processes and what hinders it, what destroys it, what devastates it. You have a responsibility to guard your gates, what you are letting in to your mind. What are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you saying? All of this is coming into your gates. You have the responsibility of taking into captivity every thought and managing it. That's your responsibility. The better you become at thought management, the better your life will become. That's it. I got to get out of here. As I always say, look, live your life on full so that you die on E. That being said, I'm out of here.